Welcome everyone to the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival 2021 Q&As. I'm your host for the session, Julian Neves. Thank you so much for joining us. This year, our full program will be screened online from September the 22nd to the 28th. We also have our new media exhibition. It's available online and in person at Grandison Lab in Belmont. You can check that out tomorrow, Friday 24th, and Saturday 25th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Feel free to comment and ask questions of the filmmakers we have, and we'll try to answer them during this session once we have time. And of course, you can check out the films at watch.eventive.org/TTFF21. We'd also like to thank all our TTFF21 sponsors and partners. NGC is our signature sponsor this year, and we also have a leading sponsorship from Shell Trinidad and Tobago and Republic Bank Limited, as well as contributing and supporting sponsorship from NLCB and the Sport and Culture Fund. All right, so today I have with me Yasha, Hanoomansingh, and we also have David Parris. They are the directors of the narrative Killing Columbus. Unfortunately, David having some tech issues, so no visual, but we are at least going to hear his voice. Evening, Yasha and David.
Good
Hey,
evening.
Good
Hi.
evening.
And we also have Roy T. Anderson. He is the director of the documentary African Redemption, The Life and Legacy of Marcus Garvey. Good evening, Roy.
all right.
Solid.
Glad to be here. Hmm.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you both. All right, so I'm going to start off with Yasha and David. Killing Columbus. I suspect it was inspired by the whole Columbus statue controversy. Is my suspicion founded? Um,
Well, it wasn't necessarily inspired
mhm,
by it. Um, it was something that collided with our production. So it was something that we were able to kind of go into and do some research and kind of get the actual feel of that passion against the story and the whole history. How it came about is we were presented with a couple of options because this film was our what we
mhm.
call our capstone thesis film. Big up the UE film
Yeah.
program. Big up. For our thesis film, we were presented with a couple of options from our lecturer, Ziaur Ramasar, and we were really well. We had an idea from before that we had planned to go forward with, but we had been pushed kind of in the direction of those
Mhm.
options, and Killing Columbus was really the one that the option that kind of fit with the idea that we were already going for, which was exploring the whitewashing of culture and history, and cultural identity in general. So that's where it kind of came from, and it's such a poignant topic, and amazingly, this happened in the middle of us preparing to shoot this film, and we were able to actually go into a present day situation where people are in outrage about what we're making the film about. So it was really interesting to
So
have that
while you
happen.
were conceptualizing and filming Killing Columbus, people were trying to kill Columbus, figuratively.
Basically, yeah. It was just
Basically,
kind of a happy accident more than anything.
Okay,
definitely
it's quite interesting. All right,
happy.
sure.
Yeah.
David, let me begin. Well, I checked out the film, very, very interesting
Thank
film.
you.
There's I don't know, call it kind of a fantasy kind of thriller foundation to the story. Tell me about choosing
Well,
that structure.
actually, the as Yasha was alluding to before, we had three scripts that were presented to us, and we chose Killing Columbus. The name of the original script was Killing Columbus as well, but we basically rewrote the entire thing really, to fit to what we thought that we could have created basically. So yeah, I personally have like a soft spot for like horror movies and thriller genre and all that. I love that. So I kind of wanted to incorporate that into our movie because I thought it was very interesting that if we bring this person of history into the modern day, I think that would be kind of horrific, honestly. Not like a kind of comedy kind of thing. I think it's kind especially for what he's done to our land. I think it's and to the people that were here. I think it'll be more of a tragedy if he comes back rather than anything else.
Okay. And I saw you have one of my favorite local actors, Stephen Hadid Jr. Tell me about working with Stephen.
I thought that he was great. Honestly, he was no problems whatsoever. A funny story with him actually, with him coming into the audition. We didn't really expect him to be coming to the audition, honestly. So like the first day that we had auditions, our producer, we set up to get people coming in like around 1 o'clock. So we were working with that timing. And then we were upstairs in the film program building. And one of our producers came upstairs and he was like, "Yo, Steven is here." I was like, "Who's Steven?" and, and we didn't know. And
Wait.
and then he was like, "Yeah, he came to audition for this." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then we just rushed downstairs and just like, made everything work. And yeah, he blew it out of the water. I mean, it was literally just like, second nature, honestly.
He did, yeah. I mean, obviously, you would expect that from somebody, an actor who is with his experience. But something that we really appreciated too is that it was a student film, and even though it's our final year and we're on the cusp of becoming, beginners in the film industry outside of school, beginning professionals, things will happen. We will run into bumps in the road, and it will trickle down and it will fall onto the actors sometimes. And Stephen was always, I mean, we were of course we were very embarrassed when things would happen on set, and like we'd be like, oh my gosh, we have this professional actor here and we messing up things in front of him. But he was always very like understanding and supportive, and he's like, yo, I love working on student films because you hardly see projects with so much passion, or you hardly see like he says that he likes to see likes seeing us learn, which it really brings across the passion that he has for the arts and for the industry. And we were very lucky to have not just Stephen but an amazing cast all around who were adapting to everything that can go wrong. I'm sure Roy can relate to this. On a film set, when things gonna go wrong, everything will go wrong. And our cast, including Stephen, was very, very understanding and supportive of that. So we feel very lucky.
Very good, very good. And last question, quickly.
Yes,
Yasha and then David. Should we kill Columbus, figuratively speaking? Yasha.
Well, I mean, coming from the two directors of the film Killing Columbus, I think that yes. I think that he's celebrated in a lot of parts of the world based on really skewed information. And I think what we should kill is that spreading of the misinformation. I think that it's a part of history, and so we need to know about it. It is something that happened, but we need to be truthful with how we spread history, not just for the purpose of bring supporting our own agendas.
Yeah.
David,
I think it's
anything to
a
add?
pretty difficult question. I'm kind of I don't want to say on the fence, but I'm saying that that's kind of a paradox in us trying to kill Columbus, because he's already done what he's done.
Yeah.
We are here literally because of him, indirectly. So, and that's, for some people that could be seen as a good thing, as in, we are alive and we are, experiencing life like this now because of him. But also it's terrible because, he killed off entire people. So, I think that conversation will continue to happen, as in, like, should we, kill Columbus? Um, but I don't think that we could actually kill the idea of what he's already done, because we are kind of living what he's created in a kind of way.
Exactly. It already exists, and you can't erase history, but what you can do is to move forward from it
Yeah.
and learn from it.
Okay, thank you so much, David and Yasha. Roy, on to you. African
you.
Redemption, The Life and Legacy of Marcus Garvey. From the time I started to hear that narration, I heard Mr. Keith David, Gargoyles, They Live, The Thing, one of the best movies ever. And I saw he's also a producer on it. Tell me, how did that happen?
A little bit of magic, for lack of a better word. There's some synergy happened. I actually ran into David at the Toronto Film Festival about just over 10 years ago. And I told him how much I admired his work. And we also had mutual friends. And from there, I didn't really see David again until maybe 6 years later. That mutual friend introduced us. And he said, you know what, you really need to talk to David. So I got in touch with him. And David said, I heard about the film that you did, A Quantum the Journey, about the Maroons of Jamaica. I'm heading over to Africa, over to South Africa, to film my first project over there. And I want to watch the film on my way over there, right? So, believe it or not, before the plane touched down, I got an email from David. And he says, Brother Roy, I don't know what to say. We got to work together one day. And that was like music to my ears, right? So fast forward to, was it 2016, 2017, we started to talk about this project about Marcus Garvey, and he said, man, telling our history, nothing more powerful than that. He says, whatever it takes, I want to be a part of that. And, born from what Yasha said about the stories that we tell, well, number one, it all depends on the lens from which you tell these stories, right? We're in a very, very influential position us as filmmakers. We shape minds. Far too long, as the African proverbs go, the tale of the hunt, the hunters have always been telling the story. So it's now time for us as the lion and the lioness to start telling these stories, to shape the narrative. And that's what I had hoped to achieve, with this film, African Redemption, The Life Legacy of Marcus Garvey, and flowered so beautifully with the voice of none other than Mr. Keith David.
That was great. And I watched the film, and I know one of the things that surprised me is, how much opposition he got from other Black people, other Black leaders as well too. And I was wondering, in your research preparation, was there any facts that surprised you, that you uncovered?
So many things that surprised me. As a matter of fact, I was so surprised that in the beginning I had labeled this film Marcus Garvey, The Untold Story. So many things I didn't know. I mean, I sort of heard, about his meeting with the Klan, but I didn't go into it in detail until I started researching for this film. And then the other thing was, I'm sure most folks are aware of Bob Marley's song, Redemption Song.
Yes, of course.
A few times that I've screened the film, folks are actually disappointed that those weren't Bob Marley's words when I corrected them and said, this was Marcus Garvey, 1937, Menelik Hall in Whitney Pier, Nova Scotia. Historic words that he preached. And it's so apropos today. We're still talking about emancipating ourselves from mental slavery. The conversations and the discussions go on. I mean, even in my home country of Jamaica, there's still people that want to, forgive me, they want to continue to bow down to the cream. These are folks that enslaved our people. No. And, the reason why I started, telling these stories, matter of fact, this film is the third in my trilogy, is because if nobody is telling our stories, or if nobody is getting our stories right, then we have to tell the stories. So this thing about the resistance history of our people on this side of the Atlantic really resonated with me. And I ran with that, in my day job. I fall off tall buildings and crash cars, but I wanted something that would give my life a true meaning. And that's, telling, stories about our people.
Yeah. And I saw there's later on in the film, there's the aspect of kind of bringing it into the contemporary times with George Floyd and Black Lives Matters. And, persons talking about how much inspired they are by success. Talk a bit about that, about how relevant Garveyism is in this current climate.
Absolutely. I tell people that before Black Lives Matter, there was Marcus Garvey. Before Black is Beautiful, there was Marcus Garvey. I mean, up steps this 5'7" round man up onto the stepladder in Harlem and preach, "I am a new Negro." Let's not get held down by this, 300 years of history, especially African Americans in the United States, who were beat down because they wanted to hang on to a piece of their own history. That was criminal in the minds of the enslavers, right? So up steps a man that remind them of how great our people was. And that's why Marcus Garvey really, resonated, to folks in America. And that's why even still today, from the Black Power movement up through Malcolm X to Martin Luther King, to all those great leaders in Africa and the Caribbean. I mean, Marcus Garvey was the catalyst that really inspired this, this generation of African leaders to say, we should not be beholden to anyone but ourselves. Still relevant to this day, still relevant.
Okay. And finally, for me, tell me, what has been the reaction to the film? US, Jamaica, how has it been?
Very humbling experience, if I may say, and quite honored to be bestowed the title of an honorary scholar, and people telling me that this is the definitive story of Marcus Garvey. Somebody who was able with this film to vindicate the legacy of Marcus Garvey. That's all I tried to do, in my presentation, because far too long, there is a man that's been maligned, misrepresented, presented as a caricature. I wanted to change that narrative. And if some folks say that, this film belongs in the annals of all the scholarship on Marcus Garvey, then I'm truly honored, to be mentioned in that breath. So having said that, I love for this film, it is an educational film. I don't think truly it's a festival film, but it's a film that's going to live on in the educational realm before, after you and I are gone. And that's what I hope to be my legacy when I leave this planet.
Congrats so much on the film. And well, we're out of time. David, Yasha, Roy, congratulations on both films. Really great job. And we want to thank you guys. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. My second visit at Kent Trinidad. Thank you.
A virtual one. And thanks everyone for joining us for this Q&A. Don't forget, you can catch all these films. They're screening today. And you can check out ttfilmfestival.com. You can get all information, how to buy tickets, and check out upcoming films as well. Goodbye, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.